Hi, this is Moe St from SPS Spindle, and I'm starting a little series of videos in regards to spindle failure and all their causes. And we will also explain some corrective actions that people can take to help prevent this failure from happening. Our first video will be in regards to upper bearing failure or rear bearing failure, which has been a more predominant failure than it has been in the past. Not quite sure if it's because of today's coolants and how they operate and how they migrate into spindles, but my first spindle I have here is a part from a Kitamura. This is the upper bearing tack pickup, and as you can see, the brown coating stuff all over this part, that is coolant that is collected on there. As you can see, it's collected also on this top cover, which also has the labyrinth in it. And you can see that the coolant has now grown from the top of the cover to underneath the cover. And shortly after that, it basically got into the bearing and basically used up all the grease and oil out of the bearing so that the bearing was not lubricated properly. And this is what caused the spindle to fail. Here we have a top cover for a Haas VM1 spindle. You can see again all of the orange, which is generally usually coolant. It's recondensed coolant. So how you can check to see if it's coolant or possibly hydraulic oil that is dripping from the machine and getting into the top bearings is essentially you just wipe it with your finger, go under water, and if the oil rinses right off your hand, that means it's water-soluble coolant oil that is recondensed and collected back on top of the machine. You can see it is all over the pulley nut. This is one of the bearing spacers where it's also collected and washed all the grease out of the bearings and just turns into this brown sludge. And then here you can see on the bearing is also failed due to improper lubrication. This instance, again, you'll see this is a top of a robo drill spindle. This again is the top cover, and you can see the brown grease collected on top of this cover. This is the drawbar slinger, so that material was just flying around up in the upper cavity of the spindle. And once again, this is the bearing that came out of that spindle. It has also caused that as the spindle bearing is failing, it's causing the outer ring to move in the housing, which is called as fretting corrosion. This fretting corrosion on this particular model wore the housing down so much that the housing needs to be crown plate ground repaired to make it work properly again. So again, some little tidying of the machine tool will help prevent some of these more costly failures. These costly failures not only cost you more money, but they also increase the downtime because it's not just a simple swap out fix. It needs much more time to be corrected and make sure that the spindles work. This failure is sometimes caused by a poor or worn out rotary union, such as this one here. The rotary union gets worn out, it starts leaking. It takes a very long period of time for the operator to realize that this is leaking, and it could be gallons of coolant that gets caught up in the top of the spindle machine that would cause this. So one thing, always replace old leaky rotary unions every time you swap your spindle out. So when you send a spindle to SPS Spindle for repair, once we take the spindle apart, QC it, assess all the damage of the spindle, we send you a quote. So a quote would be basically just like this. And on our quote, we would have a cause of failure. It is very important to look at the cause of failure to see what caused the spindle to fail. So that we're there prior to putting the spindle back in. If it's a corrective action that you need to make on your machine tool, you will be able to do that to save the new spindle or rebuild spindle from failing prematurely again. If you'd like to learn more about common causes of spindle failures, please visit our website at spsspindle.com. If you have a much more immediate need and need to get to your problem corrected quicker, please give me a call at SPS Spindle. Thank you.